Good evening, everybody. I know we had a call-in show that we did earlier this afternoon, and I'm actually thinking, we'll see how it goes. I may go ahead and open up the phones tonight if you guys have anything to add to what I'm about to share. Now, earlier today, we talked about, the dividing, the changes, Mandela effects, and it fell, all the way through into the Bible and Christianity, religion, and things of that nature. So I thought it would be a good idea to come on tonight and actually speak about something that many of us, as we have been going through this transition. Let me get to where I can see the chat and see if anybody's even in here yet. So when we're seeing the transitions and the things going on in our lives, in our loved ones' lives, uh, okay, it's obvious there's something going on, and some of us have had the scales pulled back, and we are actually, have the ability and the capability to see things from a different perspective, different realm, different paradigm. Some call it shifting realities or timeline jumping. All of these phenomena and anomalies. And I can't say that any of them are correct or incorrect. Experience is experience. What you've experienced is authentic, and it is authentic to you. In our spiritual development and growth, when the scales get removed from our eyes and we begin to see the nature of this place and how not only by the choices that we make, we affect our environment, but we affect other people around us also. So, with that being said, we're actually what it. I mean, it's just so plain to see that what we're actually in the process of witnessing is something that Dolores Cannon talked about when she talked about the three waves of volunteers, and she talked about the separation of the earth going the new earth separating from the old, the 3D staying, and then the new earth pulling itself away and going into the fifth dimension, sixth, seventh, or even higher. So she wrote many books. She did the quantum healing sessions, and the books were written a lot of times through doing these sessions with people. She would get so deep into the somnambulum with each of the. It didn't matter who was on her table, but they would pick up the story right where she was at in writing this book. Like, they would get the information for whoever came to her and was on her table, and then it would go deeper. When it went deeper, it was like messages to Dolores on books that she is writing, and it was like each person picked up right where the last person on her table, no matter where she was in the world, wherever they left off, the next person on the table would pick up. Very, very interesting. She wrote books like Convoluted Universe, Three Waves of Volunteers, and the first wave of volunteers, it was pretty difficult on the first waivers because a lot of us had children, and you know, and with children and with living the life and being born into that paradigm, karma and things like that can crop up. They can, I want to explain this in the right way. You build karmic debt, but karmic debt can always be released. Karmic debt is just a matter of, asking people who you know in your heart you have wronged or reached across and took sovereignty or their rights away from them in some shape or form, um, and apologizing. And then, of course, you are your own judge. So by reaching out and going and to others if you need to, if it will allow you to forgive yourself and allow your heart to, as the scripture would say, be circumcised, your heart then starts to expand and grow. So the first waivers, they came in at a very dark time to shine the light of truth, which you can actually say Christ came in and was shining the light of truth. He said he's the truth, the light and the way. So I believe him when he says that. And when I look at the things that he teaches, yeah, it completely makes sense. But somewhere along the way, something happened, where this order out of chaos, fear paradigm, fear narrative, propaganda started to have people give away their power to other people. And we're at a period of restoration now, of knowing who and what we are, and getting back to this is nothing like what I would call new age. Not new age at all. I'm talking ancient of times, early days. Okay, if you believe in Adam and Eve, let's talk about Adam and Eve walking in the garden with God without any confusion or twisting. Okay? And then, so they knew what they were able to do. They were the pinnacle, they were the top, and they were also given free will. And they were, he was told to name all the animals and given dominion over this place here where we are to experience, expand, and grow. Okay. Apparently, something happened. Either man got corrupted, or something came in and tainted man, or man wanted more for himself. Because when I think about the first creations being of the angelic realm, they're surrounded by the Creator. They're in the presence. They go to and from the presence of the Almighty Creator, source of everything. So I can't see where they had the free will, like we're experiencing. And who knows? We may be what you would think of as an angel that volunteered to come in here so that we can experience this realm and grow and expand and know right from wrong in our own judgment, in our own heart, and learn how to, we come in to forget, so we learn again who we are, who the Creator is to us, what we've been endowed with, and what we are supposed to be taking care of, which is this place, the garden. But by losing the memory or losing the perspective of who we are, and things getting lost over years, and people getting into giving their power away, giving their very creative ability away to another, they're allowing for somebody else to dictate to them through an outside source what they need to create. And then, lo and behold, here we are creating a world that is not good for everybody. When in our heart of hearts, when the scales fall off, we do want to create a world that is equal and great for everybody. Hi, YOLO. Hi, Truth Set You Free. How are you guys this evening? So, as we are going through this great separation, it is becoming more and more and more obvious on this the waves of volunteers, the the separations. People are walking in, it seems like, completely different paradigms with things that are going on. People being in fear and masking and doing things like this. Then there's other people that are not in fear because they know there's nothing here that can hurt you. The only way it can hurt you is if you allow it in here and in here, and then allow it to create around you. Then that's the only way. But when you know and you remove any doubt and you know who you are and how wonderful and amazing you are, this amazing restoration period, then you are making your choices. You are creating what you want to see around you. You're creating with also consciousness. Consciousness of what am I creating and how will my creation affect the other sovereign beings that if I don't want my sovereignty and my freedom and my rights to be, trampled on, I definitely do not want to be trampling on anybody else's rights or where they're at in their journey or what they've got going on. So, as we see this great divide going on, it's like the two worlds are splitting as described by Ms. Cannon before she passed. And she talked about, like I said, the three waves. The first wave was the hardest because it was the darkest, and then we would have children and things like that. The second wave wouldn't quite be so bad. They would actually be the children of the first waver. So they wouldn't be forced into ways of thinking or certain paradigms or political, you must be this political way, or you must go to this church and believe this certain way. The volunteers that came in first, the children would be the second wave, and as it would be by nature that they're not imposing what their thoughts and beliefs that they were raised with onto their children. So then you got the second wave, and from the second wave you've got what they would call so the second wave was like indigo, and then like the third wave is the rainbow children. And these are children that are coming in fully aware of who and what they are, what they're capable of doing, and not falling into any paradigm of duality or, having any, they understand their sovereignty and they respect other people's sovereignty. And as they get older and more mature, they will actually seem more mature beyond their years. You could be talking to an 8 to 10-year-old that would sound like a 20 to 30-year-old when you're talking to them about creation, who they are, do they know who they are? Where when I was that age, I was still trying to discover, what did I want to do? What was I going to do for a living? And, all of these things. Well, these children are dropping wisdom bombs, and they're so clear in thinking, and they know that they have this this ability within them that, there's no need to worry. There's no need to fear. There's no need to have any of that going on at all, because they have come in as a pure vessel. They can't be persuaded one way or another. They're not going to fall into any fear propaganda or programming or any kind of a duality. It's either this or it's that. Whenever you have only two choices, neither of them are right, because there's infinite possibilities. We are infinite beings. So while we're seeing this manifest into our reality right before our eyes, the experiences that we have, nobody can take those from you. You have them. When something happens to you, you know. I mean, you know that you know that you know. And then the process begins. We talk about the wheat and tares. Well, the tares is like misinformation that's within us, that's been fed into us, that needs to be removed. Things that no longer serve. Okay, so they'll be burned up and the good wheat will remain. But there's also a separation that is by choice. And even if you think you have not made a choice, you really have. So if you have not consciously understood who you are, what you're able to do, and how you impact and affect your environment around you, the other people in your life, how you in your circle affect them, and realize that in your circle what you want, how you want to impress on them is freedom, sovereignty, creativity, unconditional love, forgiveness. If they ask for forgiveness, I'm talking direct family, how many times do we forgive? Infinite amount of times. That goes into the sea of forgetfulness, because we all make mistakes. We can all fall into, especially first wave people that came in, can fall into these old paradigms that we were brought up with. So, in this time of separation, restoration, moving up, if you haven't made a choice, well, then you're actually choosing to still experience the 3D duality, yin yang paradigm. And there's nothing wrong with that. You have your sovereignty and your right not to choose, not to want to go on the journey and go through the transformation. A lot of people are seeing skin is changing. It's got like a shimmer in it. You can see. What it reminds me of is what's that movie? Twilight. The vampires that were not carnivore. Well, they ate meat, but they didn't eat people. But they sparkled in the sunlight. It wasn't that they couldn't go out in the sunlight, but their skin shimmered. Okay. And they also had abilities and gifts and things like that, but they also did not want to harm or make the choice for any other being of their kind. If you want to be this way, fine, be this way. We're choosing to be this way. And, you can always part company. We have that freedom of choice. If you're not resonating, walk and go the direction that is resonating, that's going to bring the highest good out of you, bring you to your highest potential, bring out the best in you, the high vibe. Now, some people like to say that, okay, it's always going to be roses and sunshine. Well, how are we supposed to experience anything and expand and have compassion and understanding if everything is always supposed to be perfect and we're always supposed to be just giggly, happy? That would be, that would be yin and yang. That would be picking one direction or another when, like I said, neither of them, if you only have two choices, you're super happy or, you're super sad. Neither of those are right. You're to flow. You flow infinitely back and forth as you're creating what is going on around you, magnifies from your heart into your mind through your voice vibration. And you then realize, looking around at people, whether you think they're NPC, asleep, or if they're awakened, you see everybody as equals, and you do not want to encroach on their sovereignty. You never want to take away anybody's rights, abilities, or of being, to experience what they're here to learn, grow, and experience. And that's something that, we don't want done to us, so we don't do it to others. People can have religion, they can have faith, they can have a political party, they can get as involved as they wish, as long, as they're consciously doing it and making those choices from what they're thinking, what's in their heart. It's a conscious choice. Freedom of choice and the repercussions that come from the choices that we make. So, hi, my 5D, or my Skies 5D. Hi, Dusty Blue. How are you guys this evening? So, I just wanted to, really bring up and point out, when it's one or the other. I can tell you from the experiences that I've had, it's neither. It's neither. So don't polarize. And when we are respectful and accepting, excuse me, of other people and their rights of being, it's a harmonious life. We dance. It's a energetic dance that we do together. Now, where I see it kind of separating and veering off is by what choices people are making. If you're handing over your sovereignty to somebody else to make decisions for you, and not taking accountability for what you're creating around you, well, you may still have some lessons to learn, or that you want to learn in the 3D duality paradigm. And that's okay. That's okay. But if you realize and are ready and want to move forward and expand and continue to grow, because I tell you this much, there is infinite possibilities and probabilities. And although we see this separation going on, and those who are ready will move forward, I don't even want to say forward, because it's not a better than less than thing. It's choice. It's purely choice. How you treat other people, how you want to be treated, whether or not you want to create the paradigm for a benefit for many, for all, and you understand and understand that you impact everything that goes on around you. So with that comes great responsibility. You have to take responsibility for what you're creating, right? And that was one thing I had to go through in my past was, I've been going through this. I've been aware of anomalies going on for 2 decades. Now, I'm old. So, I had several decades of, running that hamster wheel and, thinking that that was what I needed to be doing. And it was probably before I became aware of it, things were already working out for me to get to where I'm at today. And hey, it's taken me 2 decades. I've seen people get where I'm at in 6 months, 1 year. I mean, TikTok time. I mean, things just have really ramped up. But it's based on the choices that we make, and how much are we cleaving to that we need to let go of? And so I think that we all start off as dream workers. We will go off on journeys, start having vivid dreams, experiences, out-of-body experiences, astral projecting. These type of things can be going on for quite a while, and people will experience like sleep paralysis, and it'll kind of startle you, and you'll wake yourself up. You'll be like, wait, no, because you don't understand what's going on. But that's just your process. It's you waking up you. It's the Almighty reaching out to you saying, tap, tap. like what John was talking about, that tap we get on the shoulder, that it's time, get to work. And it's time to start going down that narrow path, because what I have to deal with is different than what somebody else does. But forgiving myself and asking for forgiveness for all of those that I had, even though unknowingly, I didn't even know that I was telling people wrong things, you know, um, giving people information, or talking politics, or trying to say, well, I am this way and this is why, and trying to prove my point. It was so far from the truth and the nature of our being, of our essence, of who we truly are and what we're able to do. But when I started moving out of that, I started having the sleep paralysis, and that was, like I said, the awakening. And then I started hovering above myself, seeing myself sleeping, and then I would move around in my house, and I'd be like, oh my gosh, what is going on? And then I would wake up, and my husband and I would be in those exact positions. And when my husband would leave during the week, because he was having to drive an hour and a half to and from work, and then he was working 14-hour shifts. It was too much. It was too much, and they were night shifts. So he stayed in the town that he was working in during the week. Well, I would go get my daughter, which you saw through her testimony, and she would go in as, if I make a sound, wake me up. This was decades ago, guys. I mean, like, I think it was even longer than, from what she reminded me, it was longer than what I remembered. So, we all start somewhere, and then we let go of things that no longer serve. We see that the duality, it doesn't serve. It doesn't serve this side or the other side, and that we begin to see that there's third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, and so on, infinite possibilities and probabilities. Not just the two. We are so complex, and it's just, we're able to do so many different, fascinating, paranormal things. When the scales drop from so many, seeing that, this place is more fluid and flowing than we ever thought. What was that, 2014-15, with the Mandela effect? I would think of it more of a Mandela effect. That, all of these different changes, like from conception date, would seem impossible to someone who's not seeing this or experiencing this for themselves. But once they start to experience it and start to see, hang on a minute, this place is pliable. So when you say to this mountain, move out of your place, and you do not doubt, it is going to move out of its place. Look at what the maps have done. Look at what, this whole realm has changed. The city where I went to high school in didn't exist when I went to high school there. Didn't exist, guys. Not in this paradigm. It's no longer on the maps, and actually was removed from the maps before we even moved towards that location. Which, yeah, tell me about that. I mean, what? So, when you're seeing things like this transpire, you can see that we're changing things. And I'm going to tell you what happened there was a separation. When you were in Alta Loma, you were considered upper class, air quotes, upper class, higher class, better than others. And if you cross the street, you're in Rancho Cucamonga, or I'm sorry, it was Cucamonga, and they were across the tracks, or even though we were right there on the cusp of crossing the street towards Alta Loma, that's just the way that it was. And for Alta Loma to disappear, and not just disappear, but not even been in existence for years before we even moved there, shows me the equality that is transpiring, that there is no better than, less than. I mean, that playing field just totally got leveled by removing that location. I mean, it's just fascinating. Biker Babe, I thanked you earlier. I was finally able to go in and see. You know what? I'll do it real quick again, because this one's gonna be short enough where people can see it. That live call in, I don't think people will watch 3.5 hours. That's a long time. Let's see. I have some thank yous that I would like to give out that I was not aware that happened, because if like I have a guest on or something, I would have to do a screen share, so I wasn't able to keep up with the chat. So I found them, and here I am today, and I want to express gratitude to so many people. And this is on the super chats, and a lot of I only knew of three super chats, and boy did I get my mind blown when I actually was able to pull up the list. So I want to thank Hebrew from Eternia. I want to thank Belinda Brubaker. I want to thank Biker Babe times 3. I want to thank Adian and Friends. I want to thank Raleigh. I want to thank Jams TV. I also want to thank John Binney. He went ahead and signed up for the membership, so he's got wings. So if you're interested in that, check it out. You get some special emojis and you get wings. And I do not want to forget the patrons, because if it wasn't for the patrons, I wouldn't have a lot of the software that I have to pay for monthly to make things better for you guys, the viewers. And that would be Amy Sanson, D-Mac, J-Mac, J Camp, Shelley, and Kate Wright. So all of you are making a world of difference, and I just want to say thank you for for the support and generosity that so many have shared. And I'm looking into getting StreamYard and Uber Conference, where I rent those per month, so we'll have better setups for call-ins and for live streaming with guests, where we can actually see the chat. So anyways, back to what I was talking about. I can turn the phones on if somebody does feel like calling in and chiming in, but this conversation, I want to pretty much just keep it on topic on the choices we make, the manifestations that are going on around us, how we understand, and the awakening process, the scales falling off our eyes, seeing this, as Ms. Cannon, talked about years and years ago. I'm talking, what was that? Decades ago, that she was talking about the earth splitting. But again, it's not a good or bad thing. There's no right or wrong choice. But even if you're not choosing, you really have made a choice. So, you just are allowing somebody else maybe to make that choice for you. If you're in a fear type paradigm, and you hand your power over and wanting answers from somebody else, that's something I look at. If I am reacting or responding out of fear, and I'm looking outside of myself for the answers because I'm scared to the point I'm not critically thinking, I've shut my heart down, I've walled myself off. And so now what am I doing? I'm looking outside myself for an answer, and they're having me use the gifts and abilities that I was born with to create what they're telling me. So I am listening to somebody else outside of myself, and I'm creating what they're projecting. So when they put propaganda and things like that out there, that is, basically what you need to see. Well, is this raising up fear in me or unconditional love? Is this service to self, or is this in service to others? Is this going to infringe upon somebody's rights to express themselves, freedom, sovereignty, liberties, and their right of being? Or am I taking away somebody else's voice and right to be because I am afraid, and I'm swapping not just my own peace and safety by giving my, you know, my authority over to another and just following a leader? What kind of an impact am I having on my brothers and sisters when I do that? So I think that might be, why we're seeing such a blatant divide. It's been prophesied, talked about for many years. Many of us have been going through these steps for, long periods of time. And, even if you choose to stay, with the 3D, and that's, like I said, there's no wrong choice, none. It's all in what it is that you're needing, what you're wanting, what you're here to experience, what you're here to create, what you're wanting. How do you want other people to feel around you? Do you want them in peace and to feel safe, that you would never do them any harm? Like, think of your little baby. You got a little baby and you're holding your little baby. That baby needs to just feel you. It needs to, be up against you, hear your heartbeat, and feel that security, that safety that is, maternal. I won't even go as far as to say whether God is male or female. I was brought up that he was male, but I can't limit. I cannot limit something that is infinite. I cannot put limits on something, a being that is able to create and also create us with the abilities and gifts that we all have, with our sovereignty and with free will. I mean, what kind of love is this, right? But then I also don't see anything outside of God. I think everything is in the scope of Godhead. You, me, the trees, the animals, everything. Everything is within God. There is nothing outside of God. But with that, he still has allowed us to have some of the essence, the breath of life, and the abilities to create and manifest, and as we're learning this stuff, and to choose what is best for others. And gosh, it's such a beautiful thing. It's such a beautiful time to be alive. To actually have this kind of understanding growing within us, and my goodness, and the creator or source, higher self, the being that I met is pure, unconditional. Oh gosh, it's hard to even put it in our language. Our language is too simplified, but it's a love that is beyond comprehension. I had never felt anything so pure, so beautiful. I wanted to bask in that moment. I just wanted to stay right there. I did not want to move. But it was an experience. I needed to have that experience. And that's kind of what showed me, we seek for our creator, the creator of this place, because the creator loves us, loved us first, created us with the sovereignty and the free will to choose whether or not we're going to acknowledge the existence of a higher being or not. Or what if this higher being doesn't care to be worshipped or any of that? What if, okay, you're God, you create everything, you have every ability. What if, you wanted children, you wanted companionship? What if this whole creation, manifestation, and the things that unlock within us as we go through this cycle that can go on, shifting into different realms, realities, dimensions, paradigms, as we're getting closer and closer to the Creator, that we are, the love that we feel is getting more and more intense the closer and closer that we get. And then we start to reflect the Creator out and around us by loving our brothers and sisters, because we understand no matter where we're at in this walk, they're still sovereign, they're still divine, they're still able to make their choice. Like I said, there's not a wrong choice. Hey, Jams. Hope you heard I shout out to you earlier on my thank you. Yes, and word for word, Michelle. Let me see. I'm going to read some of the chat. I could turn the phones on. Let me see. How long have we been going? Almost an hour. Ego. Yeah, you know what? My skies 5D. Where is the ego in this? I mean, the ego falls away. We have our sovereignty, we have our freedom, we have these gifts, and I don't think we're limited on the gifts. I think that you will get what you're passionate about, but you can also move forward and activate any and all gifts that are offered. I don't think there's any limits. I don't think that God picks favorites. I don't think we have a Creator that is of that nature. Not the one I met. I mean, and you're right. Your ego, it melts away, because how can you have an ego when you're surrounded by brothers and sisters that are able to do everything and anything that you can, with all of the same abilities to co-create, manifest, whether they're awake or not, whatever they've got going on, that there is no hierarchy. There is no better than. There is no less than. Anytime there's that double paradigm, neither of them are right. Neither of them. I had a dream about the scales of justice. Okay, and when I was in this dream, it was more like a astral projection. I was floating around, and then I was told that, you know how in the center, you got the scales that go out, right? And in the center was this tiny little hole going up the pole that held out the scales, like that you would weigh stuff on and balance. I think, what is that? Is it Anubis in the Egyptian folklore, that he weighed your heart against a feather? So I see in these scales, these huge scales, and then there was this tiny hole, and then I was told the only way to get through and be at 0 point, that I had to find this tiny hole. First I had to find it, and then I had to shrink down and slide through the center. I was not to weigh down on this side of the scale or weigh down on this side. And I found it, and I got through that little tiny hole, and I was like, what? What the heck was that? I mean, you have those dreams where you wake up and you're buzzing, you like feel your energy inside of you, just you're humming, you're buzzing, and it's so vivid in your mind. Those are what I would call a symbolic dream. That don't be weighing out the scales of justice, because it's duality paradigm is, we're leaving that. We're moving on to bigger and better things. You guys ready to fly? Are you ready to, learn to lift off this, from the earth with anti-gravity, whether it be those boots on Jupiter ascending or wings or just a natural ability that we have within us that, is our DNA is being reactivated and everything's being unlocked and clicked in place. I mean, when we're in dream time, we fly. I do. I fly, I glide. It feels like I'm on skates sometimes. I can raise myself up and look down at the situation and see where I was participating in whatever was going on. And then when something like that actually comes into our life and we start experiencing, I make a different choice because I was able to see that choice play out. And it led to hurting somebody. And I don't want to do that. I don't ever want to hurt anybody. It's the furthest thing from my heart. I do not ever want to hurt anybody. Um, and yeah, the ego is, it's toast. It's gone. How can you have an ego when you realize that you are just like everybody else? Doesn't matter how much money you have. Doesn't matter how many toys you have. Can you take them with you when you leave this realm? No, you can't. So you get the point? Okay, let me read some of you guys. Okay, Jem says, hey, hey. My Skies 5D said, word for word, Michelle. Let me see what you said before that. Okay. I created so much unconsciously. Yes. Yes. So if we think that they're not creating, they are. But whether they're creating and handing their power away, that's still their choice. As long as they're not giving ours away too, right? Those experiences were to learn how to create from heart space. Beautiful. Lessons to expand consciousness. Yes. And with Ms. Cannon, with the work that she did, and people going into the somnambulant level, and picking up no matter who was on the table with the information that the last person on the table, was bringing up, so she could write these books and get this information out. Wow, that should show you how connected we are. Also, the oneness that the very breath that animates us for us to have these experiences here. And even with losing my daughter, having that dream, which I shared on it, but the audio was terrible on that one. I had a dream about that in 2012. I actually had a succession of dreams, and there was always two people involved. The way that she left us was in the dream, and like I said, I saw it 3 times. But when I had those dreams, I was like already sharing, and we were walking through them. So to me, I was sending my husband over there every day. I was checking on her, making up excuses to go and pop over. Oh, you need cleaning supplies? Oh, I'll bring you some. Oh, you need some groceries? Oh, I'll bring you some tomorrow. Making excuses to go and check on her all the time. I couldn't handle losing her. I drove myself batty. I tried to quit everything. I went, down on my hands and knees and tried the repentance, the pleading, the begging, the fasting, the giving up everything. And I had broken my neck and my back in the car accident when I got hit by the drunk driver. And I'm in chronic pain, not as bad as I was, but, at that time, oh my gosh, it was awful. And when I gave the, when I was given over my power, and begging and pleading, I thought it worked. I really did. But then, of course, other things happened and other things transpired, like seeing President or seeing then reality TV star on The Apprentice Mr. Trump on election night in 2015 winning, and then it was weird. And then that happened a couple years later. But see, you guys, I really thought, since those dreams were from 2012, broke my heart, lost my mind, and scared the bejeebers out of my parents. I mean, I literally terrified them, terrified my husband. I stopped eating. I tried everything that I could do to self flagellate, punish, go without, uh, to thinking that that was the way that my prayer was going to get heard. And that wasn't how my prayer got heard. Now, they gave me 7 more years with her. And in the meantime, I scared everybody to death, and then everything kind of had to stable out. And I did get 7 more years. But I got comfortable with, like, okay, I am not 100%. And I'm fine with that. I was so fine with that, you guys. I was jumping for joy. But then again, sometimes dreams can be symbolic or represent something else, but some are pretty straightforward. But, anyways, so when she was actually taken in 2019, imagine my surprise. That it did happen. It was, in TikTok time, she was taken in a blink of an eye. There was 2 people involved. Both parties are at fault, and they took the life from her. But maybe that's what she was here for. Maybe she had already done what she needed to do. Maybe she experienced what she was here to experience, and it was time for her to move on. Who am I to say that she should be held back because my heart got broken? Well, my heart is still going to be broken no matter when she would leave, or, that's part of life. That's part of expanding. But I am not going to be the one that's going to hold her back from moving forward on her journey wherever it may take her. I don't have that right. She's my child. I gave birth to her, but I don't own her. She has her own journey. But it was nice to have her come on live and talk about her awakening process and go swimming with me and share with me how much she had grown before. I mean, she knew. Like, it wasn't hard to get it into her core. She knew. She knew that what was going on was being created around her, and she was ready to change all that. But right before, boom, she was taken home. And I look at it that way. She was taken home. Yes, I miss her. Yeah, I saw it in a dream. Yeah, I was hoping I wasn't 100%. But, we need to utilize what we're given to the best for all mankind, for everybody. What? Hold on. Somebody, I'm going to have to find out if did they leave a message? Oh my gosh, Biker Babe. You should look into the wings thing. The wings thing. I just set that up for the membership. And you'll get wings next to your name and emojis, and I sponsored a couple of channels, and then one of them went down for the count, and then finances kind of took a little bit of a tumble. So, but I'm going to go back over and responsor the one that is active, and he's always building onto his platform to make it better and better for people to enjoy. So, but he had a membership, and his were, I think they were like karate stripes or belts or something along those lines. And so I did wings, and you also get some special emojis. And I'm talking the lowest tier. I'm talking, there's 3 different brackets we have to select from for options for you guys to select from. At the very bottom one, you get the wings and you get the emojis, and it was the least amount of that I could check in there. So I just think it's cool, and I will change the colors of the wings by the months and things like that, and make them prettier and prettier. And they did say that the more people that actually do decide to join up for the membership, then they'll let me make more emojis and stuff, and I'll get feedback from you guys on what do you want, what do you want in there, and we'll put it in there for you. But yeah, I mean, it helps you kind of budget a month to month thing, because I would get confused on super chats. Not that I'm bird walking here, but I would get confused on super chats on, have I super chatted this person this month, or because I like to support many different platforms because I know what the expenses are. I understand that part of it too. And so I would forget. Well, when you do the membership, whatever day you become the member, you're a member from that day till a month later on that date, and then it charges you again that next month for that very same amount. Like if you chose the $1.99, well, in a month it'll charge you $1.99 again. And you can always quit anytime that you want to. And if the membership had already went through, you're still a member till the end of the month, no matter what. Because you already paid for that month. You stay with all the benefits and everything for the duration of that month. It just will not recharge you. So I was surprised they opened that up to me. Okay, so does anybody have any trippy dream? Ugh, no, you know what, Jams, I have to say that was more like a nightmare. That was something that I did not ever want to experience. No parent ever wants to proceed or have their child precede them. It's not natural. And then the things that we were told that we had to do to even see her. And I don't know if you guys looked at the 1 year anniversary video. If you happen to, I put the news clip in there and the cars in there. If you take a good look, just pause it right where that news clip is. The car's crushed. I always wondered why it was after midnight when they came and told me what happened to my daughter, when they pronounced her at, I think, 8:28. So it was, I think they said at 8:28 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, they pronounced her. Well, in that, with the news out there at 11, the firemen they had the jaws of life. The car was so crushed in and down, and then all the airbags from the side, the front, was crushed down, and they couldn't get her out. You could not open the door. It was caved in and everything was buckled. So they had to get the jaws of life to get her out, to even look at her handbag to identify who she was. So that's why it took, till shortly after midnight that the, coroner came over and told me what was going on. Because I was like, what the heck, when I got the report? If you knew that at 8:30, why didn't you tell me sooner? Because I could have got a hold of my husband before he left the yard, instead of him trying to make a beeline, a 4.5 hour drive in 2 hours to get home because I was a wreck. The coroner was afraid to leave me because I went straight into shock. I couldn't believe it, because I was like, okay, that one's not going to happen. She's changed her life. She's turned things around. Good. And then, bam. So anyways, I miss her. I love her. I know she's around me. I feel her all the time. And I know that she followed her body. I think it hit her so fast she didn't really understand what happened. I was drawn to get to that accident scene as soon as the sun came up the next morning. I forced my husband to take me, and then I wanted to see her because her ID and stuff had been stolen, from her before, and we've had to go pay for new ones for her. So just because you show me an ID wasn't convincing me. I wanted to see her. But out here, you actually have to have the loved one transported over to a funeral home. So the funeral home wants their money up front. They wanted it within 2 days after we signed with them, and it was over 20 something $1,000 that they wanted up front at the first place. The second place was about the same, but they gave us until 2 days before the service. So they went ahead and started getting her. In the meantime, my uncle put his credit card down, and then we paid for the headstone and you know, and all of that stuff. And then they moved her over, and I felt her energy when I went in there and looked at her. I felt her energy, her love, and the understanding of, okay, this is what's going on, by my reaction to her, you know, to seeing her in there. That it was like she was waiting for me, you know, a little confused. You can get yanked out so fast you don't know what the heck is going on, you know. I worry and I wonder about things like that. I had an NDE. When I had my NDE, I got hit by the car, but I had some time to figure out, whoa, I just got hit by a car, and you know, she didn't have that. It was like they were crossing, they were almost all the way through the intersection. This truck blazed through and plam, straight into her side of the vehicle, took her instantly. They actually said that the accident was at 8:25 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and the firemen that got to the scene first, the emergency crew, got there at 8:28, 3 minutes later, and pronounced my daughter. And then they started working on the guy that was driving the BMW. He was hanging out of the vehicle by his seatbelt, and it had flung that door open. But even through that direction, they couldn't get to her because she was crushed down underneath. Like the coroner said, it looked like she was just sleeping. She was curled up, you know, crushed down and just sleeping. So anyways, yeah, you know, so not everything we see is going to be, you know, sunshine and roses. So that's unrealistic. But how are we going to experience and expand if we don't have these type of experiences, so we can show empathy, compassion, love, and patience, you know, for one another as we wake up to this process, and as people are choosing, as these events are, you know, stacking up on top of each other, people are making choices, and by the choices that they're making, well, okay, you can stay in the duality. There's nothing wrong with that choice. You can move on to this one, you know, and expand. There's no wrong choice. There's no better than, less than. There's only equality. There's only 0 point. There's no ego. There's no I am richer than you. You're poorer than me. I've got better clothes than you. I eat better than you. You know, there's none of that. All of that turns into rubbish when you realize, with your real eyes, in your real heart, in your real mind, your consciousness, that is creating, even when you're sleeping, you're experiencing. You could be working, you could be doing things in the ether realm without you, you know, being consciously aware of it, but your subconscious is. And over time, you do become aware of it. And when you've grown past duality, you're going to want something different. We want to continue to expand and move forward. And we're going, everybody is going to be in the same place, no matter, you know, how it comes about. And you can think about the religious, again, you know, the man hired the people the first thing in the morning, and he told them a wage he was going to pay, and they went out and worked the fields. At noon, he went and hired more people, brought them into the fields, agreed to pay them the same as the people that were there all day, okay? And then in the last hour, he went and found more people that needed to work and agreed to pay them the same as everybody else. And they were there the last hour. So when the day was up and he started handing out what they earned, the people that were there all day started getting a little bitter because they worked all day and got the same wage as the person that went for the last hour. It's a parable. It's supposed to be there to teach us a lesson of equality. It's not how long you've been doing it. It doesn't matter. None of that matters. And if you agree, which we have agreed to go on this journey, why would we ever think, when we already made the agreement, that we would deserve more pay than what we already have been offered, which will be the same of the person that comes in at the last hour? Do you get it? I mean, I'm not trying to get preachy. I'm not into organized religion and doctrines and or anything that uses judgment or fear narrative. I'm really not, but I'm not saying that there's not knowledge and wisdom in some of these texts, and that goes for ancient Egypt scrolls or hieroglyphs or Sumerian glyphs or wherever it is that you look. There's wisdom. There's always clues everywhere. But man, what a time to be alive, that we're able to witness this, to experience this, to grow in this, to know who and what we all are, to see each of us on our journeys with our sovereignty and allowing and just being present in the moment and just allowing someone to be. If somebody wants to be religious and that makes them happy, yay. I have nothing to say for or against. I want everybody to experience what they're here to experience, to grow, learn, move forward, and because we're all going to get there at some point. We're all going to be at the same place at the same time at some point. So there's no wrong answer. Do you guys have any questions about what I'm talking about? Mainly I've been talking about like the virus has shown such a strong divide of propaganda promoting fear, and the people that are covering their own face and breathing in we're supposed to breathe in what the plants exhale, and the plants breathe in what we exhale. It's a symbiotic relationship there. We're not supposed to be breathing in the carbon monoxide. It's not good for us, not healthy. And even I was teasing my mom. I said even bank robbers have a nose hole and a mouth hole. They have their eyes. They have a nose for them to breathe in a mouth hole when they put their ski mask on. They're smart enough to know they don't want to breathe their own out breath back in. Okay, my 5D skies at sea. I could listen to Michelle speak my inner knowing all night. You're so sweet. Word for word, I tell you. Welcome, Anna Chico. Yes, yes to. Oh, I tried PayPal, but I forgot my password again. Biker babe. Oh my gosh. You know what? I I have to sometimes log into my PayPal through your Facebook. Try going in through your Facebook, hun. I forgot mine too before, and then I'll go in and then reset it, and then I'm okay. But yeah, but I get an email on those, so then I am aware of those. Patreon takes the least. PayPal is second. I don't know about the membership, but they take a third or not. I'm not sure. I'll have to, grow into that and understand it more as time goes on. But you know, I just want to see people get wings, and I want to see if their names change colors, and even if it's just for a month, and you go in in a couple days and cancel it, you'll still have your wings for a month. You'll still have everything for a month, and never, ever, ever do anything that you cannot afford. Do not, always take care of yourself and your family first. We've chugged along this far, but I was surely surprised when I saw the list of people who did super chat, and I just have to say, I am sorry. My gosh, I did not know. Because when I'm screen sharing and I have a live guest and I'm doing it from that angle, I couldn't see them. So I'm sorry. That's just terrible. That's not an excuse. My goodness gracious, it's just not. But I really, wanted to make sure that I just found them a couple days ago. That's why I wanted to make sure that I said thank you very much to all of you guys. Amazing. Just thank you. Pleasant surprise. I'll tell you that much. And I've surpassed the minimum now, so I can actually start utilizing the funds to pay for some software upgrades so we can keep chugging along. Okay. Hey, Dad. Yeah, I just shared your it was the, oh gosh, what year was that? It was about it was the cards that you were showing, a movie about the aliens and stuff like that you just posted. I have actually a playlist of Dead GPK. So if you're not subscribed, he's also on my homepage. So's my Sky's 5D. You can find him under Skywatchers on my playlists. I do like to share people's channel and content. And because when you look at somebody's sky and you see what's going on around them, you can get a sense of what's going on within them. And then you also realize that, okay, other people are going to be viewing what they're sharing. And with them viewing it, they're going to see other things in addition to seeing where their heart is. Sky watching it's amazing. It's profound. When that woman pointed out to me that my old videos that I did on my cell phone out in the backyard with, the sky in my background, that the sky was responding to what I was saying, my energy, how happy I was, everything that was going on. I was like, what? No. So I had to look, and oh my goodness, the sky was like fractaling out and then coming back, and then it would go all white and then turn this beautiful blue, then puffy clouds, and I was like, whoa. She called it Merkaba, and then I did research on what the heck is a Merkaba. I learn a lot from the things you guys share in comments, and I do my research on it. But it was very interesting that, you are not just this vessel. You have like a toroidal field around you that's constantly in motion and vibrating. You also travel around in a Merkaba, so it's like a triangle up and a triangle down, and they're spinning. Well, it's like, I don't know how to do it, where it makes like a star, okay, with the triangle facing one direction and the other one, but the one that's facing down is spinning one direction, and the arrow that's facing up is spinning the opposite direction. So, and that is your Merkaba field, which can extend further out around you, which is what will affect your clouds, your atmosphere, what is going on within When you're taking those videos of sky anomalies and phenomena, that's your, outer perimeter. That's how far you're reaching out. And when you put your voice to it, watch how things can vibrate and resonate with the frequency of your sound. Because out of the mouth, the heart speaks. So when you're talking, and you're talking from your heart, you're conscious of all of these things that are surrounding you. The more aware we become, the more focused we are, and the more we want to make sure that we're not hurting, harming, or causing anything, or taking away sovereignty, freedom, rights, abilities from anyone ever. And watching this divide and it's like the great separation. Oh my gosh. Thank you, Dead GPK. Oh, thank you for the super sticker. Thumbs up, little chickie. Oh my goodness. Oh my gosh, you guys. So, what do you guys think about what Dolores shared with us about the earth separating of the fifth dimensional and higher, separating from the three-dimensional, and coming to the understanding that it's not a better than less than thing. It's choice. It's all in choice. It's a canvas of observations, really. Interesting seeing the manifestations. I absolutely, oh my gosh, the things I see in your sky footage, even when you share other people's sky footage, the things that you see, it gives you a peek into their life, into what's going on with them. It's amazing. I commonly see hearts. It doesn't seem to matter whose images I'm looking at, I'll still see hearts. I don't know. I must be a heart-loving type of person. I see hearts a lot. And here lately, I've been seeing what looks like angel wings, angel feathers, angelic beings of all sorts. Just so much. And of course, I've submitted them over to Dead GPK. I've only got the one that I will share over here. The other ones I have sent over him for him to do his thing with and see what he sees. And, if he chooses to use them, it's up to him. If you choose not to use them, let me know. Maybe somebody else will want them, or I'll use them myself. Now that 3-minute one, I'm sorry that one was so long, but there was so much going on in the sky. It took me that long to capture it. Actually, I thought when I was doing the imaging and I was looking, and then I was watching it back before I sent it to you, that I saw what a being that would, to me, I would recognize as Christ. A Christ-looking being that was sitting like, there was like angelic and feathers and wings and all kinds of beings. And he was sitting there, and he was wearing some kind of a robe, very relaxed and loving and calm, very peaceful to look at. Now that I sent it to him, I tried to look at it again, and I don't know that I'm finding it now, but I'll try and check it out. But there's just so much going on in our skies, so much going on in our lives. There's not a right or wrong way. Everything is choice. And when you're ready to come out of duality and move forward, you will. Nobody is. I think one of the worst things they made was the Left Behind series. I think the Left Behind series, to make people feel that there's a possibility that there's anything outside of God, or that people could be left behind because they're outside of God, when there is, from my perspective, God is everything, everything. We've been blessed with free will. And with free will, we're able to experience and expand. Um, but with that free will, does he come tap us on the shoulder and wake us up? How did you wake up? I mean, what made you realize that this place is not exactly what we always thought it was, and that things can change overnight? You can concentrate on something and change the last name of movie stars, song lyrics, um, the size of continents, where continents are located. A city where I went to high school has disappeared. Didn't exist. Doesn't exist. I mean, what do you guys think about that? I want to share, before I do hop off here, image that my father um, gave to me and made for me. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take that down. And then where are you? I know you're close. There you are. Okay. Look at that. Okay. Wanted to share this. My dad likes to make a lot of my backgrounds and things like that. This is an image that he made. He also did the animation, or, well, it's actually Snowball, but Snowball passed away. He was a very old cat. But his actual eyes, one is red, one is green. But he put earrings on him. But really, the cat was only wearing a bandana, okay, in all truthfulness. He's a male cat, putting earrings on and a nose ring. It wouldn't fly. He was a stubborn guy. But one eye was blue and one was, I'm sorry, one was green and one was red. So I used to call him Stop Go. And then he made his mouth move and talking about how he was the commander and overlord of his household. Give him treats, feed me now, and by the way, I just left the doozy in the litter box and I didn't cover it up. And it was something about cats taking over the world. It was hilarious. Now, what we found out about this cat, they almost weren't able to keep him because he was my aunt's cat. She had health issues. I'm sure you guys remember I used to go down and help take care of her and let my parents take a break. Well, when she first needed and went into hospital, he went to my parents' house, and my dad walked along the side of him, startled him. The cat jumped up and just clamped down on my mom's arm, and he wouldn't let go. So he was traumatized by the way that he was moved out of my aunt's, and because he never went outside, never been anywhere else except for inside that apartment. And then now here he is at a new place. But what we figured out, they were just about to get rid of him, but we figured out that the red eye was blind. And so if you come up on the side where the red eye was, it frightened him, and he was already traumatized because the person that he was so used to is no longer there. The home that he had always lived in is no longer there. He's got new people. He got swept out from underneath of hiding from them with a broom, which scared him. Put in a carrier, brought to a different place. He's got one blind eye, and I'm sure my aunt knew this, and she would always walk up on the side that he could see, as to not frighten him. So everything was new, and he almost lost his happy home until we went down and figured out, wait a minute, he cannot see. And I found out because I was watching cat cucumber videos. And so I took the cucumber when I was watching this cat, and I tossed it down because I wanted to see if the cat would jump, right? No, he didn't do nothing. He actually just ended up turning around sniffing at it after he actually could see it. And then it didn't work after that because he knew it wasn't anything that was going to hurt him. But I threw it down on his blind side. So he didn't have a chance to get that peripheral thinking it's in motion, it's a snake, and jump. No. So that's how we figured out that he couldn't see out of that eye. And he got to keep his happy home. And he lived there for, gosh, almost a decade, a good 8 years with them. And, he was a pretty old kitty cat. He was almost 30 years old, I think, when he finally moved on. So, anyways, yeah, my dad makes these for me, makes backgrounds for me. John Beanie's been providing some amazing music, and then we have a lot of people that help share information and come on and share what they know with others. And, just, I want to continue to move forward. I do not want to let anybody think that we're stuck in any kind of a paradigm or anything like that. I want people to continue moving forward if you're moving forward. But don't do it because of a reward or a payment, because you know that we're all going to get paid the same, because we're all equals. But we will move on if you're ready to come out of duality and move past that, and creating a world that promotes duality, and that's a false paradigm. When you're ready, if you're ready to graduate from that and create something different, well, then you'll move on. And that goes for anybody at any time. When they see it and they acknowledge it and they know it, and you know that you know that you know, there's no doubt. And even I slip, when they were talking religion today, I was like, huh. I found myself quoting some scripture and talking about the Bible. But I don't think the Bible is bad. The Bible's changed for me. It's changed an awful lot. For it to be called the Word of God, I would have to say the Word of God would be words that come through you when you're at that heart-based, where you don't want to harm anybody. You want them to have their freedom, sovereignty, their right to create and experience their creation. And at the same time, you don't want them to infringe upon your rights to create and your sovereignty and your ability of being. And once we get that understanding, that unconditional love for one another, this place will flip overnight into a better place for all, regardless if you're wanting to still experience third dimension, fourth dimension, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth. If you realize there are no monsters except for the ones you create in your own mind, okay, in your own heart, fear will manifest things within our body, within our mind, and within our scope, okay? And especially if we're handing our authority over to others and creating what they're wanting, and they're using condemnation, judgment, and separation from you, and not realizing how much of a brother and sister and an equal that we all truly are. So, there's different people at different walks, and there's nothing wrong with any of them. But I'm at the point in my walk where I want respect for my sovereignty and my freedom and my rights to choose. At the same time, I don't want to trample on your rights of manifestation, creation, freedom, sovereignty, and your right to choose what is best for you and your path. And sharing with one another what we're going through. It's just so, awesome. I'm going to go ahead and give his, I'm going to move me out of the way real quick so you can see his name. It should be on the picture. Let me see how he wants me to say it for him. No, 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 tiger. Tiger, tiger, tiger. Do, do, do. Get out of the way. There it is. Okay. Jim McIntosh Photography. And if anybody is interested or wants anything created for their channel or for what they're doing or whatever, and they want contact information, he is a professional photographer. He does take the professional photos. He's done weddings and videography, and he also has does these creative using Photoshop, Paint, several different types of software, blending them into these beautiful creations. Usually starts with a picture, starts with a photo, and then goes into Paint, then goes into Photoshop, and then, the mixing and blending. I've seen him take a picture of like a candle in a glass like container, and with the camera he was able to bend that light to such a degree, and then after he was done with it, it was such a masterpiece. I'll share that one with you guys next time. It's so beautiful, and the way that it reflects the light out all around. Even in doing things like that is creating, manifesting. Even if it's something you think of in your mind, all of a sudden you've got the tools and supplies, and you're wanting to build it with your hands. You're still manifesting. You're planning it, you're creating it, and you're building it. You're bringing it, into fruition. There's many ways of manifestation. There's many ways of expressing ourselves. So that's what I wanted to share with you guys. I'm not going to keep you much longer. I was thinking about opening the phones. It's a little too late. But I should be on with a guest on hopefully Friday or Saturday. Let me put the separate earths back up. Oh, gotta get that that brown text out of the way. Don't want to scare you guys. But I do like to come on camera sometimes, just so you guys know, I'm a real person. I'm just like you. I'm going through things just like you. I lost a ton of weight after losing my child, but I actually started losing weight leaps and bounds when I changed my perspective on food. I now view food for pleasure, and since it's for pleasure, it no longer is creating that paradigm in my mind that if I eat this through the lips to the hips, not anymore. And so I started just dropping weight without changing my diet. Now, after what happened with my daughter, I was forgetting to eat. It was kind of like a refresher of 2012 where I was fasting and going day in, day out without, but at that I was doing deliberately. This was totally accidental. So with that, I want to thank you guys. Thank you so much for the super chats. If you're interested in looking into the memberships, check them out. I want to see what the wings look like next to people's names, if it changes your color of your name or what it does. So if I need to tweak it and make it even more pretty, then I will. So I hope this helped people understand that, we're going through a paradigm shift. We're going through a separation. There's no right or wrong choice to it. But even if you think you have not made a choice, you have. You're still choosing. By not choosing, you're still choosing. So you can't blame anybody for the choices that you make. And neither could we when we came to the realization that, hold on a minute, everything that we've been through was we created. We were involved in it, along with other people around us, mind you, but we were also involved. So how can you be mad at anybody else for participating in behaving in a way towards you that you already expected them to? So you pretty much are talking that over that person all the time, which that's what I would call casting a spell. If you're judging somebody or talking meanly about them, or telling your girlfriends, "Oh, my husband's so mean and da da da, he's an alcoholic," and then when he becomes an alcoholic and he stops paying the bills and he's mean to you, um, is that how we cast spells? Through, the vibration of our words and our thoughts and our heart? I mean, some things that I've had to ponder on and think about. So I completely have a different perspective. Well, and plus the experiences I had. I have nothing but good things to say about people, for people. I love people. We're all equals and we're all in this together. So, with that, guys, always share what you know and listen so you can grow. Go through the separation period, make your choices wisely, keep on growing and going and growing and going and expanding. Be the beautiful, beautiful, divine child of the Most High that you are. Nobody will ever be able to take that away from you. I'll talk to you guys soon. Peace.